Welcome to another episode of Commercial Property Roadshow. You're here with Helen Tarrant, and today I am going to talk about off-the-plan commercial properties. So what are off-the-plan commercial properties? Should you invest in them? Is it like buying a house and land package? What should you be looking out for? Now, a couple of different things. When you are looking at a off-the-plan commercial property, you should treat it differently than a tenanted or vacant property. The reason for that is you are going to get a lot of depreciation benefits of buying off-the-plan. But the thing is, you're also paying for a new build in a new area. So you're paying top of the market premium price. Now, that is not always a bad thing, but you've got to realize why and the purpose behind it. And this is why I brought to you this video, because so many people don't know what to look for when they're looking for off the plan. So when you are looking for off the plan commercial property, there's a couple of things. Firstly, you've got to decide, are you an owner occupier or are you going to be an investor in it? So owner occupier or an investor, which one are you? If you're owner occupier, then this doesn't really matter as much. What you're looking for is the depreciation value. You're looking at the workable area for you. So is the space enough? So is 250 or 315 square meters enough? Is the mezzanine floor in the right area? Can you put in an office space? Can you do all of these things? Is that good enough for that property? Plus access ways. Is it near the motorway? Does it have a turning bay? Can you park there? Can you get your trucks in there? Can you get your trucks out? What about other tenants? Are they going to inhibit your access? So those are the important things. And then, of course, you measure rate per square meter in terms of what you're buying it for to an older warehouse and to other potential ones in the market. And that's how you work out if it's the right one for you, if you're buying vacant as an owner-occupier. Now, if you're an investor, this is where the metrics starts to change, and this is why I'm sharing this video with you. So as an investor, most of the time you're going to think, okay, well, at the other side, I'm going to be getting a higher yield than the market when I buy off the plan. In actual fact, that's not the case. So I'm breaking it to you, that's not the case. So you are going to be paying top of the market, and you're going to be getting a potential rent at market or just a bit below market. And the reason for that is when you have a development where there's 10 or 12 or 20 like tilt slabs or any kind of warehouses coming up, you've got to realize that that may all be released onto the market. And so one of the things for you to ask when you are owner occupier is this as an investor, is that most of these places is an owner occupier, or are they being sold to investors? Because the more owner occupiers there are in the complex that you're investing in, the better it is for you in the long term, because there's less flooding the market, there's less downward pressure on rent. So therefore you can have more of an opportunity to actually get higher rents in the future. But of course, you're also buying for depreciation purposes as well. So let me share the screen with you so that you get to see, like, as we go through a case study. So this is just a property in Slacks Creek that we're looking at. And one of the reasons I want to share this with you, because it's a brand new development, already sold, most of it, and most of it will go to owner occupiers, but there's a few that's on the market. And we're just going to work out what the rate is per square meter, and we're going to work out what potentially it looks like if you were buying something else, and what the rent might be, something like that. So let's go, and let me just grab those details, and let me then share the screen with you. So this is the property itself. So this is the property. It is the property in Alligator Street. It's in Slacks Creek. So this is what the property looks like. So you have the street here at the front where the green is. So I'm going to make it a little bit wider. So you've got where the green is, this is the access way, and then you've got the different properties across. So there's 13 in the actual unit, I think maybe a little bit more, 13. And we've got one, and they're all really what we call tilt slabs. So there's no really areas at the back. There's no access where the back is. Just drive in, you park in front of your one, or there's visitor parking. So you can see that a lot of them's under offer, a lot of them is already sold as well. But I wanted to share with you also, what the price is of that as well, so that you can definitely see it. So here we can see that you've got the 450 square meters. So there's definitely 450 square meters with the 75 mezzanine floor. We've got the 247 plus 71, so 318. So if we look at the asking price of $795, So 795,000, divide that by the total square meter, is about 2,500 a square meter. Now, also you got to think about, well, the mezzanine floor is probably worth a little bit less per square meter, and that your 250 downstairs is probably worth a little bit more. So the skewing of it is probably going to be somewhere around, it's probably about 3,000 to 3,500 downstairs. So if we take 247 times it by 3,000, we're getting about 750, and so if we get that, that's about $3,000 a square meter, is about $741,000, and taking away that from the asking price, that's about $54,000. So your $54,000 divided by 71, which is a mezzanine floor, makes it about $760 per square meter, which is probably on par. You're always going to pay a lot more downstairs for the mezzanine floor, because the mezzanine floor may not be enclosed. The mezzanine floor for a lot of people are just basically stairs and then a level, and then basically you've got maybe some railings there. And as an owner, you might want to enclose it in the future. But you see there's another one that is similar down there that is 796,000. So it all works out about 2,500 average. But remember, it's probably $3,000 downstairs and about under $1,000 upstairs. So it might be, 2,800 downstairs, might be 1,000 upstairs, give or take. That's the ballpark figure. So now we've got that figure. I wanted to show you what it looks like on Real Commercial. So let's have a look at that. So let me just make sure that I'm sharing the right screen and you can see that for me. Yep. You can see that. So this is the development. It hasn't been built yet, but this is what the concept plan is. Now, tilt slabs will probably cost you somewhere between $12,500 to $1,500 per square meter, and that's the whole land. It's concrete, all of that other stuff included. There's probably some additional costs like landscaping. You probably need your DA costs on top of that. There's probably some common area stuff that you need to account for as well. And of course, there's contributions to the council that's not included in those fees as well. So when you do your feasibility, if you want to do something like this, you need to look into that. So it looks like it's just pretty straightforward. Drive in, there's some parking underneath, straight access way. Mezzanine floor looks like it's probably going to sit on top of there. So it's likely that it may be enclosed, or you might just need a little bit of work. So there's ones at the front, which is obviously a bit bigger, and we've got the nice concept plans, and this is what it looks like at the moment. So you've got the different areas already mapped out. You've got concrete areas for parking. So it's still under development, and you can see that there is other similar properties across the road, down the road, and across over the other side of the freeway. So this is why you know that this is definitely an area that this is in that light. It's coming into that light industrial area as well. So let's have a look more of the site. Now, this is probably somewhere between 6 to possibly 9 months from finishing. Probably will finish early next year as well. So interesting site. Some aerial photos for you there. You can see that's next to Ripco, so some of the bigger large industrial. So this is what happens in an area where Slacks Creek is traditionally a large format industrial, but as time starts to come in and these larger industrials become more expensive, the smaller ones come in just for trades as well, people as people who are looking to store their goods but also operate out of this. So your plumbers or electricians who can store stock, do some work as well. There's also business to consumer there if they want to do a warehouse, say for example medical or dental goods, or actually some kind of training. So if you're in beauty and you do distributions as well. So this is what this type of property will suit. So that's just about the property. So here we've got things that are sold. Here's things under a contract and under offer. And of course, we're back to where we started. Now, if I was to do research on this property, so if I was looking at doing research on this property, the number one thing I would do going forward is to look at what other warehouses are in the market and what they're selling for, to see if that $2,500 to $3,000 is what I should be paying for. Look, there's probably depreciation. Depreciation probably something like this will probably end up being anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000, potentially up to $50,000 in depreciation because it's a new build. So that will be great in terms of a positive cash flow. But if you were paying $795,000 for it, and this is pre-negotiations, I would be wanting some kind of rental guarantee, and it would be at least getting at least minimum of 6%, which is what the current market is trending. So that's getting about $47,000 or so. Now, when it comes on the market, there will be a time where you will be able to get tenants. So there may be a 6 or 9 month period in terms of leasing that you need to allow for. And then on top of that, some incentives as well. So really budget for probably, if you're going to hold, you have a holding cost, you need to have 1 year of holding costs to allow for advertising, tenancies, agents' commissions, plus giving the tenant incentives and anything else you want to do to tidy up that property as well. So that's probably going to end up being somewhere like potentially a holding cost for the first year of 50,000. So your 795 is more like 850 by the time you look at holding costs as well. I just wanted to reshare my screen with this is the IM. Obviously, it's got the information. There's just the 1-page price list, but I wanted to have a look at some other potential properties as well here with you. So one of the things to explore what's already on the market. So Springwood is not that far from Slacks Creek. The reason I picked this property is because it's a little warehouse. It looks like it's 3 different types of warehouses. It's probably more showroom than warehouse, so slightly different. It's also got a little parking, but it's obviously a garage at the back. Very run down, very different type of property. But look, just as a comparison, so I get to show you what's inside the property, I wanted to share with you, this is probably a 4 a lot across the way. So we can have a look at that. And what we can here is show you is the actual when we get out of this screen here, is what they're asking for. So they're looking for offers over 400. So the 158 square meters obviously is smaller than the ones we've looked at the moment. It's got a storage shed and 125 of office space. It's looking for offers over 400,000. So if you look at that, you look at 400K divided by 158. There's about $2,500 a square meter, which is a little bit less to the $3,000 we're paying for the new ones. But remember, we're doing brand new ones as well. So it's very comparative. So this is the property again. And then I've got one that's on Sailors Park, which is, again, very, very close to Slacks Creek. And what I'll be looking at here is basically, it's again in that same format. We've got different sizes, and the sizes are very similar to the sizes we've just shown you now in terms of the sale. But it's a 4 lot rather than 13. Not that new, but parking, lots of parking. There's an office space there. Obviously, new aircon next to each other, access way as well. So all very interesting. You can see it's definitely a warehouse type property with a mezzanine floor that they've enclosed into an office space. Very well done in that. Good parking, very similar. Probably a few, anywhere from 5 to 7 years older than the current ones that's been built. But again, very neat, very corporate for someone who's looking at that warehouse, but also to clients who can work in there as well. Mezzanine floors, this will be very similar to the ones that you'll be getting in that new build. So here, just to show you sort of what they do, obviously very industrial as well. This is much larger mezzanine floor. And of course, they probably enclosed the section underneath to create more office space as well. So the floor ratio is probably a little bit more office and a little bit less warehouse. But of course, if you're buying something with bare shell, you can also do that as well. So we've got this plan here. So I'm just going to enlarge that plan. See if it goes any larger. It doesn't go any larger, but you can see that we've got the different units as well. So the interesting thing is on the contract for 2.358 mil, but it's those 3 units in that 4-unit complex. Now, what I wanted you to see is how much they get sold on its own. So 786,000 was what they were asking for one of the properties. So 786,000. If you divide that by 350 square meters, it's about $2,245 a square meter. Now, that is much cheaper than obviously the new one that you're buying. We've got different leases. So this is you've got a lease that's currently taking up a 3-year lease. So this is a tenanted property. And then you've got a lease that's expiring next year with a 5-year option on this. So someone is buying this on its own. And the idea of them buying that on their own is basically that they can then take over maybe the 4th one, and then they've got the whole footprint of the complex. So they're actually buying this on a yield of 5.4% yield, which is very, very low. So if you could get a 6% in your new build, then you'll be doing well by the time it comes onto the market, because when you are getting a new build, you're likely to be able to charge slightly more rent than what this is doing as well. So this is obviously versatile as well, and the rate per square meter is actually very, very good. So when you're assessing a off-the-plan commercial, you've got to look at what others are in the area, what they're charging. So for about $2,500 to $3,000, you're actually getting significant value for money. Now, the only downside is you've got to look at what your rate and your strata is going to be comparison to an older one. Older ones will have less compared to new ones, whereas they will have more, and there's probably more potential for some more additional capital costs to come up in the future as well. So, but in a whole, when you assess something like this, you've got to look at the back end and the holding cost. So if you have the $50,000 holding cost to be able to hold out the first year of being able to put a tenant in there, and it might be only 3 months for you to get a tenant in there, but it might be 12 months. I always like to budget when you're looking at off the plan, at least a 12-month hold, have enough money in the bank to be able to hold that for rates, strata, water, leasing fees, plus any tenant incentives and anything else you want to do to touch up the property. And the reason for that is at the time of release, you will probably likely may have 3 or 5 competing properties. And there might be other developments around the area, which is also something I would research as well to see what other developments are around in the area, what other lands are coming up, because those are all things that will impact on the property. And that will all impact on whether it's tenantable later on or whether you have to reduce your rent. So the most important thing when you're looking for a property that is for investment, whether you should buy off the plan or not, is to actually look at what comes out at the other end. What happens in 12 months' time? Is there another build? Can your rent be impacted? What's the potential rent? What is the lease incentive? Look at what it's going to cost you to get your first dollar rent. Build that into the purchase price as well. So your $795 is not your true cost. Your true cost is $795 plus 1 year of holding, which is potentially $50,000. So your true purchase price of that property is that $850,000, and you need to work on a yield of that. At $850,000, you'll probably only add about a 5% ish. So would you be better off to just buy something older? And that's a decision for you to make. But if this is what you're thinking about and whether that suits you, and obviously you need to take into consideration all the tax benefits of that as well. If you're looking for off the plan, if you're not sure, or if you're looking at developing off the plan, we have the skill set in-house to help you all the way through. So to reach out to me at helentarrant.com. Email is here, and also the email, also our URL and website address is here as well. And reach out to me, book in a strategy call, and let me help you in your commercial property journey. I can work with you to build true wealth through commercial property. Until next time, happy hunting. Bye for now.